got out my best tie-dye shirt for this. So let's go for it. Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda Farmer and I'm a word gardener. I'm a middle school educator in the Bay Area, California. I created this YouTube channel to be a resource for new educators, to give you tips and tricks to help you get through your first couple years of teaching. With so many schools turning to distance learning or remote instruction in the fall, as opposed to emergency response instruction, which I discussed in my YouTube video here, I thought I'd do a 3-part series on how to create a teacher website using Google Sites. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you can be notified when I upload the next 2 videos in this series. Why Google Sites? You might ask. You might ask it. You might not. Okay. Many of the public schools in my state use Google Suite for Education as their main platform. District email addresses are powered by Gmail. Teachers and students are using Google Meet for video conferencing. Teachers use Google Forms for quizzes. And students use Google Slides for in-class projects and presentations. Google Sites is often an overlooked tool from Google when it comes to education. I've seen teachers use it for project-based learning and as a tool for students to display their understanding of a concept or their mastery of a skill. I've also seen students use it for their extracurricular activities. You may already have a Google Classroom set up for your students. You may have been using it all year. It probably came in really handy when we were doing emergency response instruction. Google Classroom is an excellent tool when it comes to students keeping track of their day-to-day assignments. If you're teaching elementary school or if you have a really small class, it's pretty easy to add grown-up caregivers to your students' profiles so that they can help the students keep track of their assignments. If you're teaching elementary school, or if you have a pretty small number of students, you can easily add grown-up caregiver email addresses to Google Classroom so that they can help the students keep track of their daily assignments during remote instruction. But if you're a secondary teacher like me, you may have 100 to 200 students. That's a lot of grown-up caregiver email addresses to input. A teacher website is a great way to make your class information available to families without a lot of fuss and maintenance. Depending on the technology in your district, there may be other ways for your students' families to keep up on their work in your classroom. Your school site or department might have a central hub for your students so that they and their families can keep up on their assignments. Your district may also have technology as a means for communication of grades, and you can upload those grades frequently in order to keep your families updated. My previous district uses Google Suite for Education, so I've got a lot of experience using Google Sites. I spent a good portion of the day today making a new website for my upcoming school district for the 2021 school year. I'm pretty proud of what I've come up with and I'm excited to share it with you. Setting up a website with Google Sites is super easy. Here are the steps to creating your first website. Make sure you're signed into Google with your school email address and go to sites.google.com. If your school isn't a Google Suite school, you can use a personal Gmail address, or you can easily create a professional Gmail address for this task. Let me know in the comments below if you need help managing your Gmail accounts. I can put together a video on tips and tricks for signatures, vacation mode, and mail forwarding. You may use one of the templates, though I find it easier and more versatile to start from scratch. Click on the plus button, where it says blank, to create your site, and the first thing you should do is give it a name. This name will be visible to anyone who uses your site. It doesn't have to be the same as the page title, but it can be. First, let's adjust some of the settings. Click on the gear at the top of the page to open the settings menu. You can decide here if you want the navigation to be at the top of the page or along the side. If you click on the little person with the plus icon, you can open the sharing settings. Here, you'll want to make your page viewable to anyone with the link instead of restricted to your district's domain. This means that trusted, grown-up caregivers can access the content on your site without having to be logged into a district email address. If you use Google Docs or Slides with your students and want families to be able to access that content too, you'll need to do the same thing with those files. Click on Themes on the far right-hand side to look at the default themes that Google has available for you to use on your site. These are somewhat customizable. If you click on the title of the theme, there are default colors and font styles. Pick one that works for you and your class. Use the Insert tab on the right-hand side to add in elements to your website. They will show up when you click on them. In the text boxes, you can create titles, headings, subheadings, and plain text. Depending on the theme you chose, these will look different. You can use the layouts underneath as a shortcut to inserting a pleasing combination of elements to your page. Beneath the layouts are additional elements you can insert on your page. I use the dividers a lot to create space between my elements and clean up the page a little. The Pages tab on the right-hand side will show you the pages you have created. Each site starts with one home page, and you'll need to add more pages. You can click the 3 vertical dots, called a kebab menu, next to the page name to duplicate it. Or you can click the plus in the round circle at the bottom to create a new page. You can also adjust the name of the page by clicking on Properties. When you add new pages, you'll have to name them. Then you can click and drag to change the order of the pages or make them sub-pages of one another. You'll notice when you create a new page, it'll appear at the top on the navigation bar. If it's a sub-page, you'll have to hover over the main page to see this sub-page listed. Now that you've got the basic idea, here are the pages that I recommend for every teacher website. About the teacher. This is nice to have so that students and families who may have missed your introduction at the beginning of the school year can get to know you. A syllabus or FAQ page. This is great for your students to have easy access to the syllabus. I know my middle school students often lose those papers, and they often have questions about what to do with missing assignments, or what your grading policies are, what your late policy and absence policies are, any other information that you think is important for them to have. A calendar. I create my calendar in a Google Doc, and then I link the Google Doc to my Google site. I find this to be a little bit more useful and customizable than using the Google Calendar feature. I'll make another video so you can see how I created my Google Calendar on my site. If you have daily slides instead of a calendar, you can link those on your calendar page. This is a great way for your students and their families to keep up on the day-to-day activities in your class. You can also list any important due dates here as well. A links page. If you or your site uses external online tools, you'll want to collect all of those links together and put them in one easily accessible place for your students. Things like Khan Academy, the textbook for your class, if it has an online website, should all be really easy for your students to find. A links page is also a great place to put Google Classroom codes. That's it. Those are the basics. Take some time to play with your site and see if you can figure out what works best for you. Stay tuned for the next video in this series where I give you some design tips that will make your site more appealing and easy to navigate for your students and their families. We'll be working on fine-tuning your teacher website's design and update it with some advanced techniques in Google Sites. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you can be notified every time I upload new content. Thanks for watching all the way through to the end of this video. If you found this video to be informative, inspirational, or at the very least a little entertaining, please hit the thumbs up button below. And please share with your teacher or your potential teacher friends who might find this information useful. Don't forget to tend your garden, and I'll catch you in the next video. Oh, really? Are you recording already? Oh, what if I told you I wasn't ready? Okay. Ooh, I'm so proud of myself when I get it right. Oh, and there's a cat. There's a cat back there. So we'll just go with the cat. It's shelter in place. It makes sense. Cat sniffing the cat. What? What do you want? Oh, my feet are asleep. God, I can't talk. I've also seen students use it for their extracurricular activities. Extracurricular. Why is that a hard word to say? Now, It's okay. It's fine. It looks fine. It's fine.